Welcome to our CrossFit Mobility Cool Down series. Today we're going to be going through different mobility movements that you can do after a workout that's going to help with particular restrictions that we commonly see in the clinic. Dr. Stan Sawinski and Dr. Adrian Larez are here joining me going through this movement series. So Dr. Stan is going to begin.
All right, let's start off on our backs. Let's lie down. So after a rigorous workout, you're short of breath, and right now your body's coming down. So the right thing to do at this point, when your knees bent, feet on the floor, one hand on the stomach and the other on the chest, we're gonna do some diaphragmatic breathing. When breathing, I want you to inhale over the span of 4 seconds and exhale over the span of 4 seconds. The movement should be recruited starting at the stomach. So as soon as the person initiates the breathing, the movement should start here at the stomach and work their way up to the chest. Go for a couple seconds and then exhale over the span of 4 seconds. You can do that upwards of anywhere between 5 to 10 breaths, whatever you need in order to get your system to calm down. This is essentially important for part of your cool down. We take 20,000 breaths a day, and now that your tissues are all essentially worn down from the workout, you want to get them replenished with oxygen. So for the next movement, we're going to go ahead and do some iron crosses. Your arms are going to be splayed out to the side. Your knees and hips are going to be flexed to 90 degrees. And then you're going to go ahead and rotate the lower trunk as far as you can in one direction in order to feel a stretch throughout the entire spine. Go as far as you can to the other direction. And then you could do that, so that would be 1 repetition. You could do that upwards of 10 times. This is very important for all dynamic movements in CrossFit. For any movement that you can think of, you need to have good mobility of your spine, and this essentially will help promote that. And particularly after, when all the tissues are warmed up after your workout, right now is the right time to get things mobilized. The next movement we're gonna do, we're gonna be in a side lying position called the sleeper stretch. So you're gonna be halfway between side lying, halfway on your back. Your arm is gonna be up, parallel to the shoulder. You're gonna grab your wrist and you're gonna bring your arm down towards your belly button in order to stretch your shoulder into internal rotation. This is gonna give a stretch to the posterior capsule of the shoulder. You wanna keep good mobility of the shoulder in order to reduce your risk for impingement, which is what we look for here in the clinic. Having good mobility in this particular direction also shows that it improves external rotation, which is going to help a lot with your overhead weightlifting activities that you do in CrossFit. You will hold this upwards of 15 to 20 seconds, and then you want to repeat it on the other side. So let's go ahead and switch. As soon as you're set up there, go ahead and go into the stretch gently. And as soon as you get to as far as where you can go, you can give a gentle contraction against your own hand for about 5 seconds. And as you release, you can take the stretch down even a little further to get more of a stretch. And hold that for anywhere between 15 to 20 seconds, 3 sets. So the next stretch we're gonna do is called the pretzel stretch. You're gonna start off in a side lying position, just like this. And you're gonna bring this top leg up to about 90 degrees, and then you're gonna grab the bottom leg by the ankle, not the foot, and then the other hand is gonna rest on the top leg. In this position, you should already start to feel a stretch in your quadriceps. I want you to take a deep inhale, and then exhale and sink further into the stretch to promote thoracic mobility as well as mobility throughout the entire spine. This is a very elaborate stretch that's gonna accentuate a lot of the movements that you do in CrossFit. You will hold this upwards of 30 seconds, 2 to 3 times on each side. So let's get the other side. Switch over to that one. The reason why we want to stretch both sides, especially what we look for here in physical therapy, is to make sure that your range of motion, your mobility, is equivalent on both sides. This is going to help promote overall mobility, and it's going to decrease compensatory patterns that may lead you to injury. So this is how it's set up on the other side. Hold it for 30 seconds, 2 to 3 sets. The next movement we're gonna do is gonna be the prone Cobra. You're gonna start face down, hands are gonna be by your chest, and we're gonna start, for the first 5 repetitions, we're doing a total of 10, we're gonna start with the mini Cobra, where you're gonna tighten the glutes, and you're going to extend at the spine, keeping the hips on the ground, and you're gonna come back down. We're gonna do this just a few more times. Come up, inhale, and then exhale, and then come back down. As soon as you get to 5 repetitions, then you could go into the full Cobra. So you're gonna take a deep inhale, and then exhale, and you're gonna extend until you feel a stretch in the front of your hips. And then come back down. This is a very important movement as well. Spinal extension is essential to a lot of the movements that you do in CrossFit. Your pull-ups, a lot of your overhead activities, all require a good amount of extension in the spine. So having good mobility in this particular direction, as well as flexibility in your hip flexors, will decrease your risk for injury. For the final movement, we're gonna go into quadruped position. Knees are gonna be under your hips, hands underneath your shoulders. We're gonna do what's called a posterior capsular stretch for the hip. You're gonna straighten out one leg, and you're going to weight shift over onto the knee. What you should feel is a stretch in the back of your hip, near the gluteal region. Maintaining good mobility of the posterior capsule of the hip is essential, especially to reduce quote-unquote butt wink, which is when you go into an excessive posterior pelvic tilt early in a squatting movement, such as what is seen in a deadlift or in a regular squat. You want to maintain good mobility here in order to reduce any kind of risk that you may develop for any kind of lower back injury. Let's switch over to the other side. The appropriate amount of time that you can hold this stretch is anywhere between 10 to 20 seconds, 3 times each side. There you go. Now, I'm going to turn over to my colleague here, Dr. Lores.
Awesome, great
Yeah,
work,
buddy.
Stan. All right, so we're gonna continue off in the quadruped position. The next exercise is gonna be called thread the needle. So go ahead and get into that quadruped. From here, you're gonna inhale as you take the arm out to the side and then up a little bit to get a little bit of that thoracic rotation. As you exhale, you're gonna bring that arm through and thread the needle. From there, you're gonna allow your upper body to come onto the ground, and you're gonna feel a little bit of a stretch in that thoracic spine and into that posterior capsule. And then good, let's go ahead and repeat that again one more time on this side. So inhale, take that arm up, get that rotation, and then exhale, coming through, feeling that stretch in the middle of the back and into that posterior cuff region. From there, come back into quadruped. Let's go ahead and repeat that a couple times on the opposite side. So inhale, take your arm up, and then exhale, rotate through. So this exercise again improves thoracic rotation and improves a little bit of that posterior cuff mobility, which is so important for CrossFitters for any type of overhead motion or any type of pressing exercise that you're gonna be doing that really requires full shoulder mobility and full thoracic spine extension mobility. Okay, let's come back into that quadruped position. We're next gonna go ahead and target a little bit of hip mobility with the groiner stretch. So you're gonna take your knees slightly wider than your hips. You're gonna take an inhale breath to prepare. Then as you exhale, you're gonna send your hips towards your heels so you start to feel a stretch in the inner thigh, that groin region. Then you can come on down to your elbows and focus on your breathing by taking a big breath in and then a big breath out as you sink deeper into this stretch. So if you look at the position of the body here, this is something that you do when you go into a deep squat position. So having this mobility is gonna allow you to limit the butt wink in your spine and allow your movement to be as efficient as possible. From here, let's come up a little bit, slide the knees in a tiny bit, tuck the toes under, and you're gonna transition into a squat. So this is a position we should all be spending a little bit of time in every day to maximize our hip, ankle, and low back mobility. So from here, we wanna see if we can keep our heels down, and then we're gonna rock our body to the left and to the right. We're trying to work on improving ankle mobility. Ankle mobility is super important for full squat range of motion and for if you're doing any exercises such as single leg squats, lunges, and so forth. So this is definitely a great exercise to do to help improve those motions. From here, let's go ahead and transition into a lunge position. So you're gonna take one leg forward, and then you're gonna take your opposite arm up, send your hips a little bit forward, and then you're gonna side bend towards me to get into a little bit of the lateral chain. So we spend a lot of time sitting down with through our lifestyle. So doing an exercise like this to improve hip extension is great, to really allow your body to reach its optimal and most efficient state. So let's go ahead and bring that back and switch up the legs. So symmetry is really important with all these stretches to, again, try to achieve balance. And balance usually is health in the body. So you're inhaling and then exhaling, sending the hips forward and getting a little bit of that lateral lean to get into the front of the hip and a little bit of the side of the body. And let's go ahead and bring it back and then come up into a standing position for our last exercise. From here, you're gonna take an inhale breath to get ready. As you exhale, you're gonna start to fold from your head, then into your middle back, going into your lower back as your hands start to reach towards the floor. So here we're looking for spinal articulation, which means that you're moving one vertebrae at a time. So take an exhale breath here as you bend your knees a little bit and start to roll up from your lower back. Again, one vertebrae at a time, getting that articulation through the spine, good control and efficiency. So that's the cool down. Give it a try.